Hey, welcome everybody to the Relume live stream. I am your host Josh Lowe, and with me on today's stream is Dan Anisi and Adam Mura. Everybody, woohoo!
G'day, everybody.
All right,
What's happening?
calm down, everyone. Calm down. All right. So, today's episode is going to be a fun one. We have a web design case study that's going to cover it all. We're going to share a design Figma file. We're going to go over like a build on Webflow. We're going to have Adam critique the overall process and give some suggestions to make the website better. So who's this episode for? This is going to appeal to beginners and people who are on the fence about Webflow. And our goal for this episode is to inspire you guys to jump in and give freelancing a crack, especially if you feel like you don't have a design background. This is going to appeal to you. So that's right. All you noobs out there, this one's for you.
Yeah, the noobs.
Speaking of noobs, our very own Dan is here to confess that he has never built a Webflow website until just recently. So yeah, yes. Dan, you're gonna share with us a fun story, and he's gonna share how that story led him to pop his Webflow cherries. So before we do that, let's welcome everyone onto the show. So who do we have here? We got Jordan Hughes, good to see ya. Isaac. We got Robert in the house. Hey guys, let us know when you built your first Webflow website. And when was that for you, Adam? We got Devin.
For me, it was probably 2020.
2020.
Like halfway through 2020, probably.
Didn't you have a crack in our other startup in 2017? Didn't you have a crack at it?
Yeah, I did. I had a crack at
good
Webflow in like 2017, but it was a struggle. I couldn't figure it out. I was in a rush because we had to like quickly ship a landing page, and so I just went back to WordPress. So I know that's a sin. That is a sin.
That was a while ago. Victor, good to see ya. Lucas, lockdown first. Okay. Isaac, built your first website 2018. I would say, when are you considered an OG? If you built it like before 2019 or something.
Nah, there's guys that have built it were building 2015 and 14.
Yeah. Like you just look on YouTube.
Like,
that's OG.
Real OG.
Like Nelson. Yeah. Nelson was doing
like
Webflow builds in.
He's like
ago,
first
like
gen.
2014. He was He's an OG.
Man. Toluwani, welcome from Nigeria. Good to see you. That's awesome, man. Hey, Alex, good to see you. Okay, Raul. All right, guys. So let's kick it off. Dan, how about you share how this started and give context of like your skill set and stuff too.
For sure. So for all of you guys out there, as I don't know if you know, but I am not a designer. So I obviously work with Adam and there's an awesome team of designers in our roster, but I'm not a designer first. So this is like, that's as a skill set that's challenging for me, but obviously I like to learn and I like to apply myself. And in this instance, it was forced learning. So I'm not going to say what I've designed or done is great, but that's for later. But for some context, over the last weekend, our family business Function Center, we have a WordPress site, and my sister for like the last 2 years has been telling me, can we please build it in Webflow? And naturally, family like, yeah, sure, yeah, I will, promise, yeah. And then it just gets kind of shifted away and then never gets touched. So I don't know if she intentionally did this, but what ended up happening on the WordPress website is she installed a plugin which ended up causing like redirects out on any click or any link that you click. No. So it was and it was like harmful links. It was like
WordPress
it was doing things that were pretty bad. So then I looked at that and I was like, oh crap, I could fix it, went through each plugin, uninstalled it, checked it, and then went through that whole process. And I was like, this is taking way too long. I just had that realization, and we needed it in the weekend, right? Because, that's how they get business, is inquiries. So I couldn't have the website down, and I couldn't have this malicious redirect spam thing that was happening. So my dad was like, we're not getting any more inquiries. So it's like, this is a scenario made for Webflow. So I was forced into having to rebuild the entire website in a weekend.
Wow.
And I thought, well, you know what? I've been talking about this Relume thing for a long time. I've been working in this company called Relume. So I might as well leverage what we've got in order to have a crack and build this website. And luckily, I was able to turn around the weekend, and it came out pretty well.
Nice. Okay, so should we just start with you sharing your screen? I want to like you just start in Figma. What was it like overall? What was your process?
I got some questions. Questions. So Dan, what is the first step for you? Was for this project, did you actually have to redesign anything, or was it I'm gonna match the exact design on WordPress, or why did you decide to change it?
Okay, so how I approach this is, firstly, I was like, well, I'm gonna first go and see the 3 or 4 top function center businesses websites. I'm just gonna go snoop around, see what they do from a design point of view, or just a general direction, right? And then I was like, okay, cool, that's the standard I have to be at. I didn't want to kind of completely redesign the website because, honestly, I didn't know what to do. So I thought my approach for it was, I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible and limit as much as the changes I do to the components, so I could then leverage components as the design fundamentals. But then, I looked at what's already out there, and then from that I was like, okay, cool. Well, then I'm gonna have to create some sort of direction on Figma. So I started in Figma, so I can actually start and share you guys. To show you
How come you started in Figma? How come you started in Figma and not in Webflow? If you didn't want to change the components much, why didn't you just jump into Webflow? Because that would have been faster, right?
Yeah,
Good
but
question.
not to design it for me. Not to modify the components. I just wanted to at least get a 3 or 4 section done. I can design a lot quicker in Figma and see what kind of looks good, and then obviously jump straight into it. But what you'll see, I didn't necessarily design the whole 3 or 4 pages. I literally did a header section. I just did a header section on Figma, and that was enough for me to sort of say. And also, I had to kind of tell my sister, this is the kind of direction. I didn't want to go build the whole bloody thing. Okay. And she goes, I hate it. I was like, fuck. All right, well, so then
So that was your mood board,
so what
right?
I did, it was like a half mood board, half, this is the direction I'm going. One, you have no say, because at the end of the day, I'm going to build it, and that's it. You forced me into this. And 2, I just at least wanted some buy-in. So then when I scaled out the design, it was at least accepted at the start.
Did you have to keep the fonts and the colors, or did they give you full creative control? And how does that tie into the rest of the business, the brochures, or the printed stuff, or the other aspects of it?
She just emphasized 2 things: keeping this color scheme that they've already adopted, and then putting in these vectors, these icons, these flower, and that was the only thing. That was the only mandate. Keep these colors. Make sure you drop in these.
What about font?
Flower. Nah, font. I could go crazy. Font was all.
Nice.
Font was my choice, so I changed the font. I adopted some of it, but font was another discovery of just going onto top font files for restaurants or something, and then just copying one of those.
Nice. All right, let's get into it, guys. Shall we?
Yeah, let's show us what you got, Dan.
Isaac's waiting to see this bad boy.
By the way, guys, I've barely looked at this. I haven't really seen this. I haven't really been on the website. So this is sort of all new to me.
This is real time.
All right, here we
Okay.
go.
So, team, this is what I was given. I was given this, and I was given this,
This is awesome.
and flower.
Wait,
flower
just the color and the logo. That's all.
Yeah, that. All right. And FYI,
Okay.
I designed this logo in 2015. So
Oh,
one of my best.
Can you zoom in? Can we see it? Can we see it?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is
Very
So this is what
ornate.
I was given. I was given the logo, and I was given the color. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, so I copied out the colors, and then from that, I played around with a few different fonts, and then I ended up landing on this font called I don't know, Zephyr. And then I don't know, ran with it. I thought it looked good, and thought this is going to be the new header font. But this is pretty much all I did from like a logo. But to be honest, I came back to this. What I first started off with was this, right? So this is what I was saying before. Like, so in terms of direction, I was like, okay, cool. This, I didn't, and it's crazy. Like honestly, I don't even use the Relume Figma components because I just wanted to just
throw
get
it out there,
this
right?
header thing done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I ended up using it in the end, but I just wanted to understand. So I wanted to understand like how the direction should go with the existing colors. And then once I played around with different headers. And then once I came to this, that's when I was like, okay, cool. Then
Right.
showed this to my sister. And then I was like, this is the direction. What do you think? And then this is as much as the design that I did for me to know how to scale this out in Webflow. And I knew, because I'm so not only I'm not a designer, but I'm obviously a very limited. I've played with Webflow, but I've never built a website that's published in the real world. So I also wanted to make sure with this design, as you can see, like I also was just very cautious of making sure I could obviously leverage the components for this. Otherwise I was screwed. I couldn't build anything custom. So that's something that I made sure was also in the top of my mind when I approached this.
Nice.
So did you go to the library and like look at like some of the header sections for inspiration, or is this like just
sure.
what you were thinking and then you found it later?
This is one of them.
Like,
This is one of them. This is one of the
Oh,
components.
right.
Yeah, I pulled them out. So I went to the Figma file and I pulled out what was there. And I was like, I'm only leveraging things that I know I can build in Webflow. Otherwise, like I said, I'm screwed because I can't customize, or I can't go do this from scratch. And also speed. I didn't want to have to figure it out. I didn't have the luxury of, having a nice weekend. I already ruined my weekend as it is. So I didn't have the luxury of wanting to build anything fully custom. I wanted to leverage what I had in Figma to make sure that I could replicate this and scale it out with the Relume components.
This is like a rumble for you, man. A weekend rumble.
So you used the homepage as like the proof of concept, but like the content on the homepage is you sort of just like playing around with it, you're seeing what works, but what you're focused on is like the sort of the aesthetic, or are you thinking about like the content and the copy and all that stuff?
Not really, because the copy we had it, on the existing website, so I didn't care so much about that. I cared more about, just like the aesthetics of how I could scale this out with the whole website. Could I reuse this multiple times? Could I reuse this as a super footer? And I thought, you know what? I think I can, like, this is something I think I could scale out and build out across all of Relume. Across the whole website.
I like this. This is nice. Should we show
It
the
actually
old
looks pretty
website
good.
first, or just keep going with this?
So like,
Let
I think,
Just to give
And that's
context
all I
of
did,
like
yeah.
what it was before, and then kind of
Yeah.
okay.
I,
So I'll show you what I inherited, which is over here. So
One
as I
thing
mentioned-
about this project though is that you have like pretty good assets and images, like which is like such a benefit.
makes all the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's one thing from a back of my mind, from a design point of view, I thought the simpler I make the design, the more I can leverage the awesome content that they've got, right? So Springford House is lucky enough to have, you know, these photographers who take all these wedding photos and videography. So I thought, well, I don't have to do that much from a design point of view. I just need to have a good font, a good color scheme, and a good way to transition between blocks of components, like making sure it's just not all white. And that's all I really cared about. Like I just thought good font, good kind of like collection of fonts. So like header, subheader, text. So like a good, I don't know what the word is, but like just like a collection of font in a block, and then 100%. Making sure I transitions between blocks. So that's the only thing I cared about, because then everything I knew on the website would just follow this system. So this is what I inherited. And look, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like it was blowing up. Like it's standard. That's why I kind of always pushed it away and I said, Claudia, my sister, like, I don't care. I'm not doing this. So it wasn't bad, right? But what ended up happening is, like I said, you'd be clicking links and it would redirect to something like this. And like, yeah, of course, no one's going to bloody book the event when they get a Bitly redirect. So the Bitly redirects were just screwing up the website. So it wasn't that bad, but I thought this was a good opportunity, because WordPress is crap when it comes to just scaling. I hate it, and it's slow, and it just has no power for her to update it. We all know the WordPress Webflow thing, so there's no point talking about that.
It's I think an interesting point you made, Dan, was you know, like as like a beginner designer, you're not trying to be fancy. You're being like practical about
functional,
it, and you focused on the most important parts, which is the foundation. What's the foundation? Typography, like good photography and assets, which you were lucky enough to have. And then like information architecture, which I think you naturally get with the components. Spacing's huge. Like looking at this website, I feel like its spacing's a little off.
Pretty tight up.
I feel like, it's a little bit too tight. And in terms of the architecture, you have like all this space at the top of a video, but it's not telling me anything. It's not telling me what your business is. So if you go up to the header or the hero section, it's sort of not saying anything. But yeah, the foundations of spacing, even the UI elements like buttons, colors, all those things, I think you focused on, and I think that's why it ended up coming out pretty nice. Like it ended up being pretty decent website in the end.
Real quick,
and I feel like some designers try to do too much, and I think just keeping it simple is like always better, and like sticking to the foundations.
Yeah, that's
100%.
good.
Well, that idea, I was limited, right, to my way of thinking, so that's the only way I could have approached it. And it forced me into that direction, which in the end obviously potentially gets a good outcome.
Yeah, and I like this use case because it's like you're not starting from scratch. Like for people kind of doing their first website, usually it can be just a redesign, and that's actually a good place to start because you have the content to work with, you have the pre-existing assets and everything. So even this video is like really powerful, but I noticed that in the new one you didn't use it. So, and we can get to that. Yeah, real quick here. We got James say it's refreshing, not showcasing godlike pros. Sorry, Adam, we'll have to have you back next week. But yeah, I mean, this is really a good use case to show like real life example of someone building it from for the first time.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess, and that's what then leads us into Webflow world. So I guess this is now what obviously we can dive deep into. But
right.
So how then I approach this from a Webflow build point of view. Again, and I'm not, like, I honestly have not built a site before, so I approach this in a way where, all right, cool. I need to get into Webflow, obviously duplicate the style guide, and then jump straight into the building part. But how I approached it, and it's interesting, right? Because I was using the components, I have used them, but I also didn't have to use them now to build something for someone. I leveraged for the homepage a homepage template. So what I did is I went through the templates and I thought, okay, cool. Well, I don't know what like a good homepage should flow like. So what I did is leverage one of the page templates in Relume, and then that's when I started building. And then that's kind of like where I started to dive deeper into obviously styling and making sure that everything was like starting to flow. But one thing that I wanted to do, as you can see on the homepage, I wanted to just incorporate one uncommon section just to give it a little bit of a pop, right? Just to kind of make it look like it wasn't me who just put it together. So that's kind of like my direction there. And then obviously I wanted to, as you can see, I've kind of kept a very similar sort of flow to what we had before in terms of content and structure. But then I just thought I wanted to leverage the videography content here because I think it's a good idea. And then just leverage of frequently asked questions, the reviews again, and the CTA. So I made this the super footer. So I've used the CTA, the testimonials as well. And I learned how to figure out how to make things global. But yeah, that's pretty much how I approached it. And then obviously started to build out things slowly from like a component point of view. I was able to then create structures for the next pages. So I only really had to build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 static pages. So then after I had that flow, like after I like created the first homepage, after that, like the homepage was the hardest for me. So once you get over the homepage hump, like you set up your style guide and then you build your homepage. I just focused on that. That took me the longest time. I was like, oh man, I know though, if once I nail this, the rest of the website is going to fly. And it literally did. So like,
why
this
is
took
that?
up the most of my time. Because I just knew like what to build after that. The style guide was set up. I just knew button was button, so I just was using classes a lot more effectively, and I could just reuse a lot of elements because you probably see, like for example,
you established a system, right?
Yes, that's correct, a system. So as you can see, like I leveraged a lot of what I've already built on the homepage here, and I only had to do one new element, which was this gallery section, right?
Oh, nice.
So everything else after that flowed. As you can see, so I use the same use that, use the super footer again. I call it a super footer. I don't know. Global footer.
We should rename it.
But super footer. Super footer has everything, right? Like in terms of like it was a collection of components. So once I nailed the homepage and once I nailed one of these venue pages, everything was just phew, it was speed. After that, I started to enjoy it. I was like, this is fun. Like I was weirdly enjoying the process after that because once I set the system up and once I had the flow, it's just a matter of like compounding and building on top of that, and it's pretty straightforward after that.
Nice. Walker thinks it's looking great. Good to see you again, Walker.
Thanks, guys.
I know he was on the FinSuite live stream. Devin wants to know what's been the response from your family after the rebuild, from like usability perspective or customer response.
So far, they all love it. To be honest, I've been set up the tracking now for book of viewing, and I just want to see the new inquiry flows. So I'll probably have like a month of data, and I want to then track to see if that actually improved the overall end goal of book of viewing. So overall, though, like the general sentiment, they loved it, but the data objectively, we'll find out soon. But I'm pretty confident it should have taken over the existing one.
That's nice, man. I like that. So if you can go back to the homepage, you had the original one had a video for the header. Now I noticed you moved it down below. Was there a reason why you wanted to choose? You chose this component over like a video background?
Yeah. I think I didn't know how to embed the video into this.
Nice. Hey, honest answer.
And then I make it like more of a feature. Then I was like, okay, I don't know how to do it. I want to leverage this uncommon section, and then I was like, but this ended up looking a lot better down here anyway. It was like
that top hero header.
Yeah.
We should turn that into a video, but it's an image because that's probably the most commonly used. But there's like this pause that happens, and that pause would work really well with the video because it would play out.
Yeah, well, the component is a video, but I just didn't know. I don't know, for speed. I just I couldn't bother figuring out how to embed a video. I couldn't figure it out. So that's kind of where it landed. But
nice.
I think, I think, and overall, this is why this is important to note, right? And I guess this comes to like the topic of what we're discussing. I strongly believe, man, when you're starting off, you got to kind of like level up slowly, right? So for example, if I'm going to start taking freelancing more seriously, the more kind of reps I get in with these service-based industries and like having a crack at these I guess these
smaller
personas
businesses
who don't necessarily hammer you for design. They're a little bit more, I guess, acceptable, or like not as like other tech clients or like larger budgets, right? So I really think like if you're starting off as a designer, this strategy of start with your local service-based industries or service-based businesses, because they're the ones that have the budget to like not have too much, but enough for you to learn from this. And the more, I reckon if I nail like another 5 function center businesses, I'm not a designer, but I honestly think that I will get better at design because I see more design, I practice more design, I play more with the design. I will naturally level up. And I just think that it's like, I was like, wow, this is decent and I'm not good at design. So I know that if I do another 5 of these, I'm going to level up. I'm actually going to start getting better at this stuff. So I think that if you're starting off, just start off with your local and then slowly get your reps in, and then as over time, you'll be able to kind of lift up your budgets, but also, improve your design skills over time as well. And I think the fact
I agree
that I was
with
able
that.
to...
I think the local businesses have always been the easiest clients for me, particularly when we're starting out. Like they were a lot easier to please than some of, I don't know, these tech savvier tech companies or
they just demand
larger
more.
companies.
So okay, I think here's a good rule of thumb. Like when you start, family, friends, they're okay, but later on when you charge, they're not okay. Like you don't want to be right, because there's nightmare stories. So like when you start, they're more forgiving, and that's good. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't recommend working with family, to be honest. But like if you want to make cash. But I'm keen to jump into the Webflow build, Dan.
Yeah, let's do it.
And answer some of your questions.
Yeah, let's do it. So you're obviously we can only log in. You're logging in.
Who's gonna build?
Can you switch my view though?
So can you share your screen?
Let me just get.
I don't have you sharing your screen here.
Yeah.
While Adam's doing that, the most important question, Dan, for you: how much would you charge doing that? What you just did right there, the scope of work. I know you haven't finished.
Charge. Like it's around 5 unique pages. I'd charge around 5 to 10K for this.
Nice.
Which, like, to be honest, you can do one of these a month as a freelancer. That is literally becoming a freelancer overnight. It is not hard to do this. It is not that. It's just focus and it's just deep work. But I think 5 to 10K easily for a local business would pay for this. Because think about this, it took their business or takes their business to another level.
Right.
In terms of like digital presence and easily. And you can do one of these a month easily. You should be able to find one of these people a month, because then what happens when you build this, your portfolio, that's added to your portfolio. You go to your other local business and okay, cool. What have you built? This is what I've done, and it compounds over time. So easily 5 to 10K. And if you can nail one of these every 2 months, you've kind of already started to build yourself a freelancing business and freedom, right? In the day, it's just unlocking more freedom and time for yourself.
I think you're blowing Jose's mind. That's awesome.
100%. So it's 5 pages. So 5 average 2K. That's 10K.
Aussie. That's Aussie. You're probably talking Aussie dollars, Dan.
Or US.
Oh no, I think I would.
Josh,
I'd push for US.
Switch the view, Josh, so you can see the bottom as well, because there's a bit of cut off.
Oh yeah. Sorry. There you go.
So yeah. It's 60.
All right, Dan.
100%. So then
Do it, Jose.
I've done it, I've built it, but now I have some questions, right? And as a newbie to this, I don't know if these are dumb questions or credible questions. I don't know, whatever I'm gonna say. So first things first is that creating the classes, right? So so how I approach this. So for example, if you go to the footer, right? In the footer, I wanted to style the footer text. It's text medium. But then what I ended up doing is I ended up just saying, well, I'm just going to on the left. Yeah, far left. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to call it footer, right? So then, as you can see there, I don't know if that's the way to kind of then style that text medium specifically for that footer, or do I create an extra class called footer, or
right?
Yeah, how do I approach this?
So what you would do is you'd actually just use a different class. So do you want to make it bigger or smaller?
Oh, what was it before?
Let me see.
Control. Yeah, it was bigger.
It
was bigger.
It is bigger. So actually,
okay, yeah. So
you wanted it to be. So you wanted it to be 1.25 rems. It's now 1.125. So it's 18 pixels. You want it to be 20. So if you look at on the style guide, 1.25 is actually text size large. But what you also did was you wanted to add spacing between the get directions.
That's what I did.
So that's what your last class had two sort of your last class had two sort of factors to it. It had the sizing, but it also had the margin.
Text size
So
grande.
what you could do is you could say duplicate this class and go footer address text, right? Let's just say if you really wanted to make it custom, right? And then you can adjust it that way, and you can do whatever you want to this class, and it won't impact anything else. However, you added a combo class on top of a global class, and sometimes that's not the best thing to do, just because if you keep doing that, it doesn't scale properly.
Because you were treating that as a modifier, like that combo class, and normally we would a lot of noobs, including myself, fall into this trap because you just want to add something on, right, without changing the original. But what you can do is just create a brand new custom class from scratch.
I mean, what you did, Dan, isn't bad. It isn't bad. What you did isn't bad.
Yeah,
it's just I would have probably done this. Best practice would be less classes.
Just create a whole new class for it.
Yeah, whole new class for it. That's what I'd say.
Okay.
Or,
all right.
Yeah, that's if you want. Or there's so many different ways you can do things in Webflow. So that's
Or you can do.
That's just one way.
Like a combo. If it's really, would you add a second class and make it is custom or something, or is smaller, even though that's not the best practice,
Yeah.
but that fits, right? Is something, so it just adds
yeah,
on
but
to it.
but because he add margin to it too, it's probably not the best thing to do. What he could do as well is he could go text size large, and then he could add a spacing block, which is a new client first thing. So he could do padding bottom, and then padding XX small. And what that does is it creates a little bit of spacing, but that's two different that's two different divs and two different classes. But yeah, I guess best practice is to use the classes that you already have at a global level for these sorts of changes when it's to more foundational things like text or spacing.
Okay. So don't combo global classes.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. No, it's good.
What else?
Well, that looks
hit
much
me
better.
with your next
one.
one.
So, this one is annoying the shit out of me. In the header, right, on that image, do you know how it takes a long time to scroll? It's okay for desktop, it's acceptable for desktop. I actually like it because it highlights the image. But on mobile, I don't want it. So how the hell do I have a different view for mobile versus... Yeah, I don't want this. I just want a static image on mobile. How do I have a different view on mobile and not show it on the desktop? I could not... Because there's a class that says, show on... hide on mobile, but there's no class to hide on desktop. So yeah, I'm stumped with this.
Right. Yeah. I feel like looking at this, there's a few other issues here as well. How do you pause this? Well, that's sort of like the nature of this thing, because it's supposed to be like a video, so it's meant to like play as you. You would need to like edit the. Let me see.
Yeah, but I don't
This
even
is
want this
really
element
putting
on
me
mobile.
on the spot.
Adam, I don't even want the mobile.
Oh,
I don't even
no,
want the element. Like,
Yeah,
can't I,
mean,
just have
what
a
you
new?
could do is you could.
You want a static image, right?
Yeah,
And-
yeah. Can't I just have like
and-
a new view? So if
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
mobile,
Nah.
so
Nah, so what you'd want to do, is you'd probably not make this sticky, you'd make this static. Let me see.
But that would that affect the desktop view?
So I'd make this auto. So this is scrolling. So I need to figure out why that's scrolling.
interaction,
let me
isn't
see.
it?
Yeah. So auto. Okay. Now this is
There you go.
set
Oh.
to absolute. So this content, yeah. So this is out like. This is a complex component. This is the thing with uncommon components. They're complex, so you need to know how to work them. So I actually don't recommend uncommon components for beginners. Stay away from them. If you're a beginner, stay away from them.
But
Seriously.
That's why.
Because
that's
even
why
for me,
said-
I have to
Yeah.
about this is like a bit of a problem solving thing for me right now on how to solve this, because on the spot, I think I'll just eat up way too much time trying to solve this. But point is,
How
I
would
think
you
the
approach
learning
it?
here
How would you
is
approach
don't-
it?
Oh, I'll just do some like Webflow wizardry to like basically change it so that it's static and it sits under here, and that's it. That's all I'll do. But I need to figure out how to do that. At the moment, oh, here it is. I need to figure out why it's scrolling like this. So, yeah.
Can't you just
Okay,
make
so
that?
you wouldn't.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I was saying, so you wouldn't approach this, Adam, of this is a section that's viewable on mobile. This is a section that's viewable on desktop, and then just completely separate the two. Like, wouldn't that be an easier? Why not? Why wouldn't you do that?
Because I don't think that's that's great from a like editing point of view. So then you're gonna have to like it's just a bad habit, because if you keep doing that, then you're gonna have to like edit the two versions of the same component, and I guarantee you're gonna forget to edit it, because it's just a bad habit to form. So Webflow is really great because it allows you to like really customize things per breakpoint, and so I just stick with the same component. What I'm struggling to figure out right now is why this is scrolling like this. Right now, off the top of my head, I can't figure that out. So I would spend some time trying to figure that out. But I think there's another issue here with this. I don't even think you're aware of this issue, Dan. But like,
What did I do?
I think there's a lot that you can do here to fix the text treatment, because that text is way too big for mobile, and you're not using the HTML tag as the class. You've like overridden it with like a random heading class, when you should be using the HTML tags and the heading classes instead. So
so how do you fix
do
that?
it.
yeah, so you have this heading class. That's like a class you've made up, right? And then you haven't actually like edited the heading text. So there's the way that you set up text isn't best practice, and I can dive into that, because I think there's a lot. If you just get the style guide and the foundations correct, then like the rest of the project becomes much easier. So if you want me, I can jump into that.
Yeah,
do
'cause I don't know what I did, so it'd be good to.
Yeah, okay.
learn.
I'll jump
So
into this.
Because
So
what I
this
think, yeah.
Yeah, go.
No, say I assume that if I make something heading 1, it will take from the style guide here as heading 1, or heading 2, or heading 3, and everything else.
Yeah. So what you've done is you've added like a heading class on top of here, right? For these like HTML heading tags, what you want to actually do is not use a class at all. Why? Because the HTML class is like the parent of all heading classes. So if you make a change to the HTML class, it impacts all the heading classes across the project, right? So this first section, you don't want to be adding classes to it. What you want to be doing, the text, and you want to click all H1 classes, and then you want to be changing to Zephyr or whatever. Right? And what that's going to do is that's going to change every time you use the H1, H2, H3. It will select Zephyr and you're not using a class. If you want to use a class, you have the class down here, which is heading style H1. And why is this important? Like, why am I being a stickler for this? Because you just need to be organized. There's like Webflow building, like web development, there's like 1,000 ways you can do something. So you need structure. You need like, this is why Client First is so good. It gives you that framework. So you'd use these classes to achieve, a particular style of a class. If you're using it for like a H3, you can use the heading style 1 class of that to turn it into looking visually like a H1, but actually using like a H3 or H2. So that's good for SEO. So yeah.
Okay, so this is the style of it. This is the actual SEO. Like this is your actually header 2, header 1, header 3.
Correct.
Okay, so
I'll go through.
So that pulls the styling. The bottom one pulls the styling. So let's just say you've got a massive section and you love the styling of H1. So that's the style, pull the style of H1, but you don't necessarily want it to be an H1 tag according to SEO. Whereas these top ones, these typography like HTML heading settings, it is actually a H1 and it is a styling of H1. That makes sense.
Correct. So if we go back, so now that I've
wrong.
So now that I've fixed up the fonts, right? Go back to the home page. Can do now is once it loads.
Professor Mura. Thank you, sir.
Office hours, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So you have these classes. You're actually trying to achieve like an 80 pixel font size. So you actually want your heading 1 to be 80 pixels. So we bump that down. We go 80 pixels divided by 16 rems because we want to be using rems. And that's actually the heading font size that you want. Now,
why is it left?
No, so why is it centered? It's centered because there's this class here called text align centered. That anything inside this div, it's gonna align the text. So all you got to do is like drag it out, and that's it.
What the hell is that? That's insane.
Yeah.
So it's all classes. So you do not use the panel. Almost, you just really don't ever use that right-hand panel.
That's why Client First is like designed the way it is, because it's so easy and they have the pre-designed properties in there, so you can quickly change it.
So best practices, class first. Best practices, class first. Don't touch that panel on the right-hand side as much as you can.
Yeah, like for foundational stuff like typography, you want to be using global classes for that. Why? Because it's more scalable. If you make an update to your H1, it's going to update all the H1s on the website in one update. Whereas if you're relying on classes and you start naming them differently and it's custom, then you're going to have to like go through the website and try and like individually update them. So things that are global are usually things that are more foundational, like spacing, typography, buttons. And that's why you use classes, like global classes. You stick with what's in the style guide.
And they go on multiple pages, right? Hence global, like it's everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. There's a time and place for global and a time and place for custom. But anything on the style guide is global. Hey, I got some ideas on how you could improve the typography if you're down.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Right, this is all yours now.
Design tip, not a Webflow tip. Design tip. Nice. Okay, so what I would do is across the entire website, I think what would look better from like a text point of view, like a color text point, is using like a softer black. No, I think you're just using like black, like hard black, like 00000, as you can see
Yeah, I
here.
think so.
But considering you're using like these softer like greens and golds and browns, what I'll do, like this is a minor detail, but all these details add up, is I would not use that black, or I'd change that black, right? By the way, I just pressed body and then I went to the text. So this will impact all text. And
Yep.
what I'll do is I'd actually update this black. So I'm going to just drag it and make it just a little bit softer, because I think that's just going to work better with the rest. And then I'm going to press save. And this is a minor detail, but it will look better. That's what I'll do for text coloring. And then also, I would probably also update all the paragraph text to be a little bit lighter than the heading text as well, to make sure that the heading text pops a little bit more. I wouldn't do that for every project, but for this one, I feel like it probably makes sense to do that. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and I'm going to make the body text a little even lighter. And then I'm going to go to the heading text and I'm going to use that original black just to create that contrast.
Just like a nice little soft black.
So that's like this would be like the efficient. So you don't need it. You don't really use these H4s, H3s. I don't think.
I think I do.
I
think I do.
Yeah.
Now, for SEO, like, does that pick it up a lot? Like H4, H5? Mostly it's H1, H2, right? And then maybe H3?
Your main is H1, H2. H4 is more from a styling point of view, to be honest. From my experience with SEO, H3 and H4 is more from a styling, but whereas like main content function center should be H1, or should be kind of set in H1, and H2 is like your sub keyword you want to rank for.
Right.
Which, by the way, side note, I had to make sure so old Springfield House had a lot of good SEO, so I had to make sure I created 301 redirects to point the old pages to the new pages. So yeah, if you're updating and taking your page across, just make sure you take into account the SEO changes as well, just so you can leverage that across and make sure you just get that. Get the benefits of what you've already worked on from a domain authority point of view and pointing that over to your new site. So that's something to keep in mind when you're updating WordPress or anything, just to a new site.
Guys,
if you're
dropping mad tips here, hit that like button if you're appreciating it. Hey, Adam, while you're on the colors, can you just go to the colors and just touch on the accessibility, the color contrast grade thing?
Right.
Just for people to
on
just even in typography.
I don't think that's accurate.
So does this contrast to the page color, like the white, or like how does
yeah it does.
So and if you click on it, there's a scale.
That's
right?
Yeah. Can you?
Yeah, there it is.
Right.
So there's that little
that's cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so then when you drag it in there, there's this, like, if you go closer, drag it within that little curve, the score gets better. Or no, sorry.
No. Yeah. So the higher the score, the better contrast the accessibility is.
Now, does that measure the background color? Because sometimes I
it's
find
against the background.
Okay. Cool.
Like, for instance, here, this would be a lower score.
Yeah.
It's against, let's see if we can find a black background. Yeah, okay. I'm assuming, just knock that. I'm assuming this will be a lower score. Yeah, see, this is 5.9 because the background is dark.
Okay, so if
this
you change
is not
going to
be accessible.
If you change the background, see if that changes.
Oh yeah.
This section.
Definitely, because it's the same color. But yeah, if I change the background color.
Just real quick.
So it was like 5 point. If I made it like this, it's gonna fail.
So now we go in here.
Fail.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. good to test that out.
Yeah. Dan, another thing that I've noticed is for the you've like you have two different colors that you use for the headings. Like, what's the rationale behind that?
Oh, I just thought the gold looked better on the brown. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, nice. No, I think it's nice. What about in terms of using serif fonts with a serif body with like a serif heading? Because you've used serif across everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. Do it. I think.
I'm just gonna
welcome.
throw something out there.
Yeah, no,
What if
have
we-
a crack.
Okay.
Yeah, what's your take on
What
it?
if we were to make?
Yeah.
Do you usually
What
always
if we were to
pair
make?
a serif heading with
I'm
a
s-
sans serif body? Is that like a good general practice?
I just like basketball. It's great font.
To be honest, there's no rules. I think the serif font will be stronger. The serif heading font will be really strong if it was paired with a sans serif body. So if we'll just go to body.
So my body doesn't have enough of a... You're saying the body's a little bit more... you change it. You change the body.
Yeah. I'm not saying I like Montserrat either, but just trying to find
as an
something that
example.
will look good. Okay.
Jordan.
Here's what you've done also.
See, yeah.
You've changed the fonts for the sizing classes. You should, client first, you should, if it's just the sizing class, just strictly to that sizing class. So I'll just revert that.
Oh,
Why does that
what's
matter?
happening?
Because now I can control classes at a global level. Anyway, I'm not a huge fan of this Montserrat, but I think let's roll with this. Open Sans. Alright?
Open
And then for buttons,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's bad. What I have
No,
here.
okay, well, let the
And then
people
for
vote
buttons,
for this one.
This.
Oh,
I'm just proposing a design here, right?
yuck.
I feel like that. You don't like it?
I think it's yuck.
I
But
feel like
again,
the
it's very
difference
legible.
between these.
Look at Book of Viewing.
It's-
It looks
yeah,
like
it's
it's
legible.
a
It's-
tech website.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
book of viewing. Yeah, okay. So you don't like the button text, but anyway, this is probably the decision I would probably make. But I wouldn't use this particular. I wouldn't use Open Sans, but I actually quite like that. I think that looks good as a capitalized text. Like
Yeah.
with capitalized text, you usually want to use like a condensed text.
Oh yeah.
It looks better.
Would
But
you,
yeah.
okay. Again, back to like, if that's how you would apply the sans serif and a serif, would you do that to the menu as well? Same philosophy out there. Like those
Yeah, I would
our
apply
venue
every
and all
button.
that stuff.
Yeah, Dan's starting
Sorry?
to sound like a
Yeah,
client
yeah.
now.
And the reason is I just do that. Dan's starting to sound like a client. Yeah, 100%. Everywhere that link up just to differentiate it a little bit more, because your buttons aren't that strong. Like they don't have like super strong colors.
Okay, that brought
it's
me
like
up to
just an
my
outline, and it's gold.
That brought me up to my.
So you
third
want to
point.
differentiate it.
I created a hover over the button to kind of give it some life, but I still am stumped as to what color I should do as the main, not on hover. I did this, but I don't rate it, and I think it's the main CTA. I tried a green, I tried the light brown, so I'd love to see what would be the best font. I don't know. And
Yeah. So your buttons are. Yeah, so you're using your button secondary.
I tried,
or
yeah, I tried green.
You're using your
Didn't rate
button
it.
alternative as like your primary button. So your primary
I don't know
button
what
was
I'm
this
doing.
originally. This is your
Yeah,
primary
yeah.
button.
Then
This
I
means
got
that, like-
over that one.
Yeah. So your primary button's like the button that you're gonna use like to call the most attention. Like it's
Yeah.
your sign up button essentially, but you've used your alternate as your, which is fine. I would just make that. Now, in terms of what should be how come you moved away from the green?
It didn't look good on it. Just looked too, I don't know. So what I did my my secondary button is just the link one, like the link with the arrow. That was my sub secondary button, and then my primary button. Yeah, I don't know. I just been playing around. The green didn't pop. I did black with white. Didn't really look too harsh.
Because you've got a green background. You've got a green background, so it's gonna get a bit lost there. But actually, it doesn't look too bad. What I would do is I would test these buttons against different backgrounds and different scenarios. But to me, I actually don't mind. I actually like the gold. I think it's fine. Maybe you could fill it in. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it pops
it's fine.
out.
Okay. All right.
If you want to make it pop out a little bit more, just fill it. Like you could just fill it.
Okay, just do the opposite of what I've done.
Yeah, and then you get rid of that comma
Yeah,
class.
yeah.
Right? Oh no, you're just gonna change
Yeah,
it. Okay.
I would convert it. I'd convert the actual primary button
Yeah.
to the gold. I'd
Right.
convert this to the gold. And then the alternate is for when it's on like a alternate dark background, or a background where you can't necessarily see that button, or it doesn't stand out anymore. So alternates for those backgrounds where maybe it's a gold background, you wouldn't use the gold button. You'd use the alternate class.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
All right, cool. Yeah. Okay.
All right,
No,
guys.
this is.
We're wrapping
there
up
you go,
here.
Josh.
We could spend another hour.
This
is so
Adam,
good.
this reminds me of us selling a website, and I'm like, Adam, just change this, and like I'm trying to sell this so I can get this over the line for the client, and you're like, no, I'm gonna do green, I'm gonna do blue, no, we're not doing this. I'm like, man, we need to sell this website.
Ship it.
Yeah.
Oh, great! It's a great throwback, and shout out to Jordan. Appreciate it. I think always asking the questions. I think it's the
Yeah.
best way to approach things. Always asking, like, what is the best way is just the fundamentals of learning anything, and it just sets your foundation right. So, like, I honestly believe if I put my mind to this and I had a crack at another 3, 4, 5 websites, and Adam schooled me and told me what to do here and here, my next website, just from these like small little tips, I think I would go to another level. And just again, third website, another level, 5. Just get your reps in, and I can guarantee you don't have to be a weapon designer, but all you have to do is look at good design, appreciate good design, and you can become a good designer.
Well said.
Yeah,
awesome.
I agree, Dan. Honestly, Dan, this is pretty solid given your first time. You have a functioning website that looks pretty nice. Props to
That's
you,
the
mate.
goal.
Yeah, it looks good.
Thanks, team.
Nice. Isaac wants to join you on the design journey. Seems like he's more of a dev than a designer. So, guys, if you guys like this, let us know if you want us to create more content like this. Like maybe we'll bring on other people, or you guys want to get a critique from Adam, and we can just kind of tear up your website. So this is really good.
Yeah, I feel like I could keep going.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I mean, it's always those small little like details, right? That you just don't know, or you discover new things. Like we just found like color contrast ratio and the score and all that stuff. So it's really good. Okay, I think we should wrap it up. Do we want to tease a little bit of the next week and who's gonna be on? Can we at least do that, and then we'll kind of give the graphic, or just have people wait?
I don't know. I think we should wait.
Yeah.
Let's just say that the RDL next week, guys, is going to be phenomenal. We've locked in some awesome contestants, so stay tuned for the announcement of our players and the fixtures. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I guess back to what I was talking about today, it really will show you how people approach design from scratch, and it's just going to be insightful as well as entertaining.
Yeah, guys, and thank you so much for applying. We got a lot of great people sending in their applications. We are still taking them in. We're going to continue doing the rumbles on at the end of every month after this RDL tournament. But yeah, like I think we're getting some like other big names coming in. So a lot of people are getting excited, and we want to keep going. So I still want to like announce the names, but it'll be really good. So next week will be the inaugural big kickoff for RDL. We got a lot of awesome things lined up. The stream's gonna take it. It's gonna be at a whole nother level, so it's gonna be really good. Okay, guys. Dan, Adam, any other key takeaways from today's stream?
I guess from my end, I know I've been talking about it, but yeah, just leverage the components as your design foundations. Change as little as you can. Like I said, all I did was changing typography, colors, and didn't touch anything from spacing, and your websites can look really awesome. So change, keep it as less is more, pretty much, and leverage the components to help you with the design, because again, it really made my design look better.
Mm-hmm. Adam?
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think like if there's anything you're gonna learn, watch our getting started video where I run through the like actual how to edit the style guide and just get the foundations right, and like concept out things on Figma to like find the right foundations in terms of design. Then when it comes to build, like just learn that style guide, get the foundations right, and the rest should be much easier for you. And if you're gonna jump in, obviously like learning client first is gonna be a big help too. Now in terms of like what Dan's done, show that like I think the best way to learn is to like actually use a real project and like just do it. Like get paid for it, even if you don't know what you're doing. That's what we did, and that's how you learn.
Awesome. Perfect. Susan really appreciates just watching you share your knowledge, and it's really good. Awesome, guys. Well, that's it. Have a great week. We'll see you next week for the kickoff of RDL. All right, guys. Take care.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.